Kia ora. Well, today with me here with us, a very special guest, straight from Austria. I said right, Austria. Austria?
Said it right.
Yeah, said right. Anna here. She is a medical doctor and a scuba diver. Not only a scuba diver, but a dive master now, correct?
Correct.
And the whole thing today to chat and sharing knowledge with everyone is exactly the why and how you came here. First, you in Brazil, you in Florianopolis, and scuba diving, and of course working your career as a medical doctor and a scuba diver. But why get get as a professional in the scuba diver? Why you went to that side of things?
Actually just happened.
Just happened. Yeah, you just woke up and I'm gonna be a scuba diver. I'm gonna be a dive master.
No, kind of.
So, just happened. How?
Well, I started diving a bit more than 10 years ago, just for myself, just like everyone else. I did a try dive. I never planned to start diving, but then I did, and I loved it, and I just continued. But it was just like I went on holidays. There was dive, and I went diving. That was it. Like about 10 dives per year. And then I ended up here in Brazil. No, it was before. Like my boyfriend came here because he is a medical doctor. He is doing a fellowship here in Brazil, in Florianopolis.
That's really nice.
And so I decided to follow him. And I decided to do something else. To be away, like to get some distance from medicine, do something else, do things I like. And diving is one of that. But before I had the idea of like get deeper into diving and do a training for diving medicine.
Wow.
So I did the diving medicine training, which is pretty good in Austria.
That's really nice. You actually can join both careers, huh?
That's right.
And how you found the hyperbaric medicine with the dive? I know both they dive together. That's horrible. There's a horrible joke. They dive together. They walk together, but they dive together.
But it's actually in Austria. It's like it's together. It's one course. It's you have the diving medicine, which is just diving medicine. The first part of this course is just diving medicine. No hyperbaric medicine. It's just for diving. It's just for because we have some rules for physical examination of divers, and not everyone is allowed, not every doctor is allowed to do that, to do a physical examination of a diver. So you have to do this course before that, you know what you have to do, because it's like...
That's very similar here.
Yeah. And so that's the first part of this course. It's just about this, and then it goes deeper and deeper and deeper into hyperbaric medicine.
Wow. That's quite kind of crazy how actually in Austria you guys have to have the kind of a specialty as a medical doctor to do a medical examination of a diver, huh?
It is, and there's even more. Like the second step of the course is then to do examination of a professional diver, which is even more important because professional divers diving every day probably. And there's the other aspect of workers like who work with under pressure, like for construction of a tunnel. You work under pressure.
That's true, yeah.
Or like if you just go like if you do something below the water level, you have to work under pressure.
Exactly.
And to do examination of those workers, it's the same. It's the same physiology. It's the same.
But you need exactly. But you need to understand as well it's the same physiology, but
the same physiology. Just it's dry. It's not in the water. And
One's
it's the
under
same-
pressure, the other one
But
is not under pressure.
No, but like if you work in a tunnel, you work under pressure as well. Like there's this zone where you work under pressure.
Okay.
So there's this usually when you in the front zone, because there's a lot of water, the groundwater, and to keep that away, you put that under pressure.
Wow.
And a worker usually is not in there. Usually he's behind. But if something breaks, if
Need
there's
to
a
be under
problem to
pressure.
resolve,
Yeah.
they have to go inside,
Wow.
and then they are under pressure.
It's a common work as have tunnels under water there.
But it's in the mountains as well. If you have a tunnel through the mountain, there's a lot of water as well.
Oh, really? It's the same
It's the same.
process.
It's the
Oh, I
same.
didn't
It's
know the
basically
mountain is the same
process.
process.
And there are a lot of mountains in Austria, so there's a lot of
Okay.
this kind of work. So.
Well, you're talking about working with professional divers. As professional, I mean commercial, very deep divers. And what's the biggest difference for you as a diver, not as a medical doctor, but as a diver? What's the biggest difference for you now that you dive master to look at them and say, okay, I understand the difference. How you feel? How you understand that difference?
The difference between like a fun diver and a professional diver.
Exactly. A commercial versus a recreational.
Commercial is like commercial dive is that's work. They go under the water or under the pressure, whatever, to do some work.
But physiology.
Because it's work what they're doing down there. I mean, they go deeper, not deeper, but even if they just go at 5 meters and they do some work like building a bridge in a river, and they're working really hard, so they stay down there for hours probably working. So
Even
other conditions. There are other conditions. They stay longer in the water. They do physical work in the water because a recreational diver usually is calm in the water.
Yeah, exactly. You have less
exercise,
stress to do things in the water. Mostly because
the big difference is like for the professional diver, that's his work, that's risk. Like he's not doing that for fun. He's doing that for work.
Exactly. He needs to have his payday at the end of the day.
Very important to make sure that he is healthy enough, that he can do that he is in a physical condition to do that work.
But technically speaking, the physiology of one worker working under pressure and one scuba diver not working is if you put both in if you put both in the same depth, you put like both in 10 meters for an hour. In your point of view today, being a dive master and being a medical doctor, how you feel that it is different or it is the same? How you can say as a diver, not as a medical doctor, how you can see that? I want you to know how you can see that difference. If it is the same for you, if it is not.
I mean, the physiology is the same.
Yeah.
It's basically the same. What is not the same is that they have to do work underwater.
So the only difference you see changes because the stress, the physical part of things, and the psychological, I think, as well, because you do have a huge pressure on you psychologically speaking. You do have they cannot make a mistake can be fatal straight away, while recreational diver, if you both in 10 meters depth, for example, one can just leave everything and do a slack and
recreational diver can decide I want to go diving or not.
Exactly.
The professional diver has to do that.
It's work.
It's in the cold water most of the time.
In Austria, Austria normally the water is very cold, or
that depends. The rivers are cold.
Really?
The rivers The Danube is okay. Like the Danube is a big river; it's already warmer. But the mountain rivers are cold, and there's the big difference between winter and summer.
Have you dove in a river before?
I did.
Really?
The Danube, yeah, we did.
Which one?
but
The
just
cold
because,
or the warm one?
The warm one. The warm one, where we go swimming as well. We did
Cool.
a cleanup. A cleanup
Really? That's
in
nice.
the water.
So you never done the cold river?
Diving, no.
In the lake?
But a cold river usually is not really fun for diving because it's really fast.
Ah,
It's
okay,
fast river.
yeah. In lakes there.
And lakes, well, in summer it can get up to 25 degrees on the
Wow.
surface, which is pretty warm.
It's warm.
But it depends. Yeah, it depends on how deep you go. We have one lake which is 250 meters.
Holy moly.
I mean, the lake is just one part of the lake is in Austria. It's between Austria, Switzerland, and Germany.
Wow.
But it's pretty deep.
You have dove there or no? Not yet.
Not yet. Planning to.
Planning to, and is in the bucket list.
But we have, for example, we have one river which is really cold, 6 degrees.
Wow.
But that's because this river is only existing in spring. After the snow melts,
Okay.
the
Creates
river,
that river.
the river, it's a lake. The lake is just created by the water
From the snow. That's
So
that
it just exists.
must
in
be really gorgeous, huh?
beautiful. You have the trails, you have everything. You
Wow.
have grass.
Wow.
Underwater.
All under the
It's
water.
really beautiful.
But what I imagine would be really cold.
Freezingly cold.
How many
It
degrees?
was 6. It was 6 degrees
Six. Holy.
with wetsuit.
No way. No way. Well, you will. I don't know. Have you done already the dry suit course?
Not yet,
But
but I'm planning to.
yeah, I was going to say I really suggest you do it because cold dives like
It
this
is. It
is how what's the coldest dive have you done so
I
far?
think that one was the coldest.
6 degrees. Here in south of Brazil, have you done any cold dives? Not as 6 degrees, but have you done
Here in Brazil, the coldest so far was 19.
19?
19.
Wow. Yeah, I did 114 here with Mauricio. It was August last year. I came here
Okay,
for
yeah.
a visit
I heard that.
and was insane. Was the first time that I met the guys from Aquanauta, and as I said to him, was the worst dive I ever done. Worst dive I ever done, but the best day diving I ever done because their team was so funny. It's so.
But that was why I started. I came here in August as well. To
Oh, really?
Florianopolis. But I started diving I did my first dive in October
October
or November. I think
was
it was
getting
October,
a little
because
bit
I thought
warmer.
Yep.
Yeah, because
Because the water is cold, the air temperature is cold. No, I'm not gonna do that before.
yeah, no, I
Before it
done.
gets
I done
warm,
because
like-
I came here to see to see how things work here, and to know the people, to know Florianopolis, the island, and everything else. And I said to the boys, "Look, to decide if I'm gonna move states or not, I need to scuba dive." And they're like, "Are you kidding me?" I'm like, "Yeah." So it was cold, raining. The visibility was like not 5 centimeters. It was horrible. I couldn't see anyone under the water. And above the water was cold as well. So it was 14 under the water and probably
And then you
16,
get out of the
17
water.
out of the water.
Even more cold.
And I was like, oh my God, what I'm doing it. And it was amazing. I must say, it was amazing. And I moved.
Why you're still here?
Yeah, and I moved to this island, so I love it. And but diving in the cold water, and I always dive with my same dry suit. How they call? I'm still thinking that term is.
Me too, but I don't have one.
But again, like either is a wetsuit or dry suit.
It has to fit.
Exactly, because
the
when it
important
gets
thing.
wet, it gets a little bit wet and still is dry, semi-dry. It's like, no, it's too wet because the water is. I'm wet, so you know what I mean. And even with a 7mm semi-dry suit, I did feel a little bit not uncomfortable, but not comfortable either. Was a little bit, was weird, I must say. It was weird. And back in New Zealand, I did some dives in the cold water, but wasn't by choice. Was, yay, it's cold, let's dive. No, it was working or doing recovery or something like that. Not when we do classes and I was teaching or whatever. I used to wait until get warmer. So cold for me was, let's snowboard. During the winter,
Yeah,
let's snowboard. During the summer, let's dive.
It's in Austria or in Europe, diving. Even if you go to the Mediterranean Sea, in summer, on the surface, it's warmer. But if you go down to 20 meters, you have 15, 16 degrees.
Whoa, seriously? I haven't done yet there, so.
And yeah, in Austria in the lakes as well, so 15, 16, 70 degrees, that's normal. That's normal for a dive in Europe.
Yeah, well, you probably, you can say, talk about that much better than me, because might be something physiologically speaking that the body will be used to that certain temperatures or not. Am I wrong saying that?
Used to, not really. I mean, diving in cold water is a greater risk because especially if you're older, if you have heart problems, whatever, everything worsens when you're in the cold water. The colder the water, the worse it is. But I mean, I think it just depends on your wetsuit. Like if you have a good wetsuit, if you have a good dry suit.
And that's a last one problem. Wow.
And yeah, we're used to that in Europe. We're used to the cold water, so we have wetsuit. We put on 2 wetsuits to be good in the water.
Wow.
So it's.
And this switch that you did coming to a country as Brazil, for example, and the culture, the climate, that's everything is
Pretty different.
how are you handling that when you're talking about scuba diving back here? How are you handling all these different things? Because you do have I noticed that when I arrived here as well, that people think differently here. They act differently. Sounds feels like they do have different rules in South America than the rest of the world. How do you accept that? How do you react to some stuff? I just try to let it go, like just to let it happen. Just chill and do it. Yeah, I think that's the best way. True. I think that's the only way. If you think too much about it, it's interesting. It's really, really interesting, and like every day on the boat, it's like you watch the people, and it's different. It's a lot different than in Europe, but it's nice. Yeah, I did have my. So I spent a lot of time just watching. Yeah, that's probably how I handle that. Exactly. I'm just watching. Because I did have my time in Europe as well with, and I noticed that they are very strict with things, follow all the rules. Of course. And exactly. Same with diving medicine. We have rules to follow. Yeah, exactly. If you want to dive. And I felt that as well because back in New Zealand it's strict. We have rules, but it's a little bit more informal than Europe, I would say. And people as well. Coming here was a shock. It was a reality check. It's like, what the? That's, and when you say something, they look at you that, what the hell are you talking about? That's, just do it. That's fine. Do you hear that's fine too much? That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, everything is that's fine. But I changed as well since I'm here. Like I'm not that strict anymore. I don't plan anymore. I just
let it go, let it happen.
Just relaxing.
And it works.
Don't do too much. Don't do too much. Remember, we do still having rules. We still having to follow rules. Doesn't matter where you were, but yeah. In Austria, how the diving in Austria? How in terms of numbers and it's popular.
In terms of numbers, I don't know, but I would say in Vienna, which is a city of 2 million inhabitants, and there are more dive centers and dive shops than here in Florianopolis.
Holy, kidding me? With
A
2
lot
million
more.
people, and they have a lot more. And what's the spots in Vienna they do dive?
Well, in Vienna in the city, there's no spot, but there are a lot of lakes around.
Yeah, that's what.
There are a lot of famous lakes around where it's like 1 hour driving from Vienna.
So it's only fresh water. It doesn't have
Only
salt
fresh
water close
Salt water
to.
we don't have. There are some dive centers who do courses in Croatia. Like Croatia is the closest salt
to the
water.
sea. Oh, okay. So they travel to Croatia and they dive in Croatia.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Croatia was one place that I actually started to negotiate before I come to Florianopolis to go and dive there and work and live there. Was Croatia. And last year I did have a proposal to go there, and I must say I started to see the pictures and some movies about Croatia and about the lifestyle and everything. It's like, oh my God, that's a dream place to live. That's warm. That's have very beautiful landmarks. And the scuba diving there is insane.
There are a lot of shipwrecks. There's a lot to see.
Exactly.
But that's where I did the cold dive in summer. That was
You did in Croatia
last
the cold
July
dive.
in Croatia. It was 16 degrees, 16, 17 maybe. At 20 meters there was a shipwreck down there, and there it was that cold. On the surface 23, 20.
How deep?
20 meters.
20 meters. So we went there, and it was how cold?
16 degrees. 17 maximum.
Delicious. Oh, delicious. That's a brilliant time. 22.
But it was like
23 meters and 60
the visibility
degrees.
is really good.
Oh yeah, you cannot compare with you cannot compare. You can't compare. That's
With diving here in Florianopolis, no, you can't. The visibility you can.
oh no. The last dive that I had here in Florianopolis was I think 8 to 10 meters and was really good.
My last dive was 1 meter.
If that.
If that.
And then goes a thermocline pass, and that's 0.
Yeah.
Apart from the
But
cold
I'm still
as well.
diving. I'm still here. I'm still diving.
And this is still diving. So now you actually teaching as well, because you're doing the dive master
For now, just guiding.
guiding, but
Teaching will be the next step.
so
I
you
continue to
you
be
intend
instructor.
to do an instructor and
I do.
become a dive teacher as well. Oh, why?
I do.
That's the biggest question. Why?
Because I just like it.
Just
That's
for
that's
pleasure.
it. Just for pleasure.
Yeah, because again, that's
For money, no, it would not be worth it because
Jesus,
never
a
make
medical
money.
doctor and a scuba diver instructor.
so no,
you,
it's just because I like it.
I would say
then-
like
there are
you
lots
must be on drugs or that or too much alcohol because
Oh.
you cannot swap professions
there
on
are a lot
that.
of people asking like why I'm doing that, especially people from back home, because for them it's like if you go diving because you want to dive for yourself. But I don't know. I enjoy teaching. I when I'm here, when I'm guiding, and even if the conditions are bad, but if someone's happy after the dive, I'm happy. I'm even more happy than I would be.
That's insane. That's I think listen to you right now. It's insane because I feel every time that people talk to me about it and they don't understand how much pleasure we've got when we actually have someone happy and we know that we made the difference for that person to become a happier person on that specific time. and that's how scuba dive. I was playing with oh, you cannot swap, but I so many people swap careers to go scuba diving, to teach scuba diving, and left behind lawyers, medical doctors, nurses, and so many. I hear stories, and people are like, are you insane? Are you crazy? No, that's the pleasure of it, to see that smile on that face.
Yeah, and it's a pleasure if you can teach that to someone. Like if you can teach how to dive safely, for example. Like
that's
to
the
teach,
thing.
like the physiology that your student really understands what's going on if he's diving. Why he has to be careful.
Why everything is
all of
happening?
that?
Yes, and that's the beauty of people that learning to understand that you can breathe under the water. That's something not as human beings. Our body is not made for that, but we can, using technology, using tools, we can, and we do, and that's the most rewarding, I think, feeling that I can say when I'm teaching. And today I don't do professionally anymore, but sometimes I get invited to teach a class or teach a person, and I still doing it, and people are like, oh, you're insane, you don't have even time. And like, but that smile, that pleasure that person will have after all. And if I don't know if you had that experience with people that actually is afraid of swimming or go under the water or drown, and you teach them and they break that barrier, and that's insane. I feel even happier than usual. Did you feel that?
Yeah.
And tell me, how was that time? Do you remember the time that happened?
That happened more than just one time.
True.
Happened more often. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Here or overseas?
Oh well, here as well. Clients, divers, who told me that they just started diving because they were afraid of the water,
Wow.
and they thought if they learn how to dive, they might. They face their fear.
Face the fear. Yeah, that's a good one.
And both of them, they were really happy after the dive. Like they had they had just a few dives, no experience, but they just did good. They just were happy, even if the dive was not good or whatever. They were just happy after the dive, and that is great.
That's rewarding.
Yeah.
And now teaching, but you're still doing a different courses as well for yourself. So do you have any course, like anything that you want to do that you haven't done yet, and what kind of course, for example? Have you done wreck?
No.
Do you want to do wreck diving?
Yeah, because in Europe you need that. Because there are a lot of wrecks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you said in Croatia you do have a lot of wreck there, so must be really cool.
And, yeah.
So you haven't done any kind of penetration
I haven't
yet
done
in
no.
confined space,
No.
but
I
you
haven't done any
do
special
want.
courses so far, but of course, take it easy.
Take it easy, go. What else you haven't done yet, and you
Well,
think
an instructor.
the instructor one? That's
the next step.
And I would say can be the hardest.
There's one thing, can be the hardest. There's one more thing I'll do in the future as a dive master or instructor is I think the next one's gonna be to dive with people with disabilities.
Cool.
There are extra courses in Germany.
Congratulations.
They have some courses about that, and I found out that they have some dive centers back in Austria who dive with people with disabilities.
Disabilities, yeah. You do have
mentally or physically.
Yeah, I don't know here
disabilities,
in
but-
Florianopolis. In Rio, they do have. I forgot the name of that person. She's a she's a specialist doing teaching for that, so you can go and guide and teach people
Yeah,
with disability.
to be bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
You do,
different courses.
yeah, exactly.
To be a
To be-
dive master for that, instructor, or just to be a buddy.
Exactly. Yeah, I imagine. I truly, I do admire that, but I wouldn't have today the courage to do so, because apart from being it's a massive responsibility to do that, and but again, you must achieve a level of pleasure to see a blind person, for example, scuba diving, or a person who doesn't have a member or something like that. That's insane. That's must be something unique. You have had any chance to dive with a person with disability so far?
Not yet,
Not yet. Wow. Yeah. Well, go for it.
but I go for it.
Go
Definitely.
for it.
Because that's another thing that you can combine quite good with medicine as a doctor.
True.
You can, like, I can decide, okay, this one is able to dive, what dives to do with that person. I can do the physical examination.
Wow.
And then teach how to dive.
Maybe the next
We can do
degree,
both.
exactly. Maybe the next degree will be psychology as well, huh? Because then you have psychology, medical doctor,
I'm okay
diver.
for now.
Exactly. Well, we never know.
You never know.
Well, thank you very much for this chat, this amazing chat,
You're
and
welcome.
lovely to see and to hear your story, and to have her here. And we will do another episode now talking about not only the scuba dive, but as a professional, not as a professional scuba diver, but as a medical doctor and scuba diver. So thanks very much for watching. We're gonna be back with Anna talking about diving medicine as well as a medical doctor. Thank you very much for being here with
You're
us.
welcome.
And
Nice to be here.
oh, that's the pleasure. The honor is ours. Kia ora.